Welcome to the Town of Dyer podcast. Now here's your host, Bob Starkey.
Good morning, region. My name is Bob Starkey, and this is the Town of Dyer show. Today with me, as I think always, Dave, I think you're the one guy who's been on every show. Maybe?
I think I missed one.
Missed one? That's right. We had Brian Lane, our Director of Operations, on. Anyways, I've got Dave Hein with me today. He's our town manager. If it sounds a little different today, we're trying a new mic setup, and so forgive me if I'm just blaring over your radio speakers. I apologize for that, but my goal is to move away from the headsets. They mat down what little hair I have left. So, anyways, this is the Town of Dyer show. We are recording this live on Wednesday, October 22nd. So we're going to be talking a lot about some Halloween things coming up. So if you're listening in the future, hopefully we put out some great content, but some of the stuff is time sensitive. And again, this is recorded live on Wednesday, October 22nd, Town of Dyer show. You can catch this show after it. You can catch it live right now on YouTube, catch it on the radio, WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, fourth Wednesday every month at 8:30. But afterwards, this is then being put out on all of the different platforms that you catch your podcasts on, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It'll be out there. And we appreciate you tuning in, liking, commenting, and sharing. It spreads the word of this show. What we hope to do with this show is just like we do with the newsletter or the text messages, whatever we do with the town, it's just about attempting to get the right information in front of the residents in a timely manner, and that's what we're here to do. We have a couple of updates. I want to start in on just some news. The South Shore, I don't know that we actually have a start time for that, but the rumor now is sometime first of the year. Dave, is that what you're hearing too?
Yeah, agreed. That sounds like they're shooting for a little February. I think they're shooting for January, but I missed a couple deadlines, so I think they kind of said, let's try February. Things are looking great there, though. They're really, really wrapping everything up. It does.
They've got some construction on the Dyer side. We did have some residents that were concerned on Seminary about whether or not there was going to be access into the parking lot from their subdivision, and
I call that my seminary advisory group.
The Seminary Advisory Board.
It's great to have residents out there that keep an eye out for things and give you the updates. And I hope they've been out there in the last couple of days because they will have seen the updates to the emergency entrance that will definitely finalize the fact that there is not an entrance from Seminary into the main parking lot except for emergency access.
Right, and so the folks over there will see a road. Just like they're going to see on the north side on Munster's End. But again, there will be emergency ballards there. There's going to be no vehicular traffic. The need for that was there because Main Street goes under the tracks from Sheffield, dead ends over there, pops up. If there was ever some type of an emergency and we needed to get folks out, or we need to get emergency vehicles in, we did need some type of emergency access there. But no, for those folks on the northwest side of Dyer, the only way for riders in and out will be on and off of Main Street. So that'll be it'll be nice to see that actually happening. This has been a long process with the train. We've had residents for it. We've had residents against it, and we've had residents who, still say, "Hey, when is that coming?" And they just don't make it up that way to see that it's virtually done. So, whether or not you liked it or going to need it or are looking forward to it, it's here, and hopefully the 1st of February. We'll have that. For those folks that are asking, we don't have times yet. We did hear roughly there will be 5 or 6 trains in the morning that will go all the way to downtown, 5 or 6 trains in the evening that will go to all the way to downtown. And then during the day, I don't know if they're calling it a shuttle service, but I think it's just going to go from the Munster Dyer station up to Hammond. I think is as far as it'll go. But in terms of times when those are,
yeah, absolutely correct. The morning ones are going to be direct routes where you don't have to change trains. You jump on it for six routes. You go straight to work downtown or wherever you're going. The midday ones you have to switch on a train in Hammond to either go up to the city or you can take it out east to I think Michigan City.
Yeah. And so that's train stuff. I've had enough train conversation because that it is what it is. I want to talk to Dave and talk about a project that I think we started talking about. We've been wanting it for a while. Some form of this was in the master park plan for Central Park since it was purchased a decade plus ago. At the last town council meeting, or rather the redevelopment commission, we approved the bid for the amphitheater in Central Park. And so, Dave, you were really the point guy to work with JMA Architects. Do you want to tell folks a little bit about that process and where we're at now and what they can expect to see over the next 9 months before we hope it's open?
Sure. I think we talked many times about Central Park is that as this council was approaching the completion of that, it was, what would end up adding a great kind of tool to Central Park. And I think we all kind of agreed that it was something that offered, not the non-sporting person an opportunity to get out to Central Park. So when the amphitheater came out and was supported by the entire council, it was kind of a very exciting project that we could actually see this come to fruition. A lot of projects take a little bit too long and drag on years to years, but this one actually seemed to gather some speed amongst the council, and we reached out to the architect who brought us a couple samples, and I think we're really proud of the final product, and we're happy to see that this is finally going to be shovel and ground soon. The goal is to have this thing for band performance at our fest 2026. So
and it's a pretty aggressive timeline, but I can't overemphasize this enough that there was a lot of work that went into this. Oftentimes when things come before the council, some of it is fairly standard, fairly boilerplate, where it may look like, you guys just approving things. If we get a resolution for a transfer of funds in front of us, there's, aside from taking a brief look at it, there's not that much that needs to be dived into it. We're moving, money from this category to this category, and some of that stuff is fairly routine and mundane and more housekeeping. But doing a project like this that's going to cost, I think the bids came in at $5.3 million. What's great is we have the cash for this. We don't need to bond out. This is not something that is going to be burdened on the taxpayers for 5, 10, 20 years. It's we've got the money for it. But the work, to the point where the town council members, we took a field trip even to another facility somewhat like this, and that informed us on some changes we wanted to make to this project. So there was, not only was it a 5-0 vote on the council to get this done, I think everybody's enthused behind it. Everybody has different reasons to be excited behind it. And we've all had some input between some of the stuff that we've seen as individuals when we go out to, do I want to say a concert venue or whatever that may be, to some of the logistics. So I think at the end of the day, the Dyer residents, first and foremost, are going to have an amazing amenity that we haven't had before. But I also think there will end up being some regional appeal to it as well. I have no problem, dropping some names with it. We've had some interest in some partnerships with folks at the Hard Rock and Hometown Jams. We're hopeful to have. We've had some conversations with the Northwest Indiana Symphony. We hope to have more, and so we're looking at some bigger acts to possibly come through there. But then we also want to make sure that this is available to local groups to rent out. If there is a one of the schools, if they want to have their concerts out there, if they want to have a some of their theater performances out there, we want to make sure that this is utilized the building's going to be there, so we want to make sure we get some maximum utilization out of it. And
I think the goal is here for it to sustain itself, but then also be available for some of the local events. So that'll be our end result, is that, the larger venues that we can hold concerts in the park, or it was a great phone call the other day when Northwest Indiana Symphony reached out and said, hey, I heard about your project. That's always a good thing when someone's saying, I heard about your project. It means they're talking about it. And if they're talking about the town of Dyer, that's a success for us, unless it's on social media and it's in a negative way.
And we could talk about social media in a second for all of you keyboard warriors.
But anybody, I think this is such a multi-purpose amphitheater. Any travel ball parent that's out there in the region knows that it's attached to a four-field softball complex that hosts some pretty big tournaments. And if you've been at any of them, you realize some of the medal ceremonies are done on that stage. So you also have that right next to the fields available. We have it for the local bands. We have it for the local Halloween parades. We can use it for anything. That I think also that we even included that screen, so you can have a movie in the park on the screen. So
there is part of the renderings, which at some point here, I think once we have, now that the bids are done, the plans are done, we do have some 3D renderings of this in future. Dave has one on his lap here, the newsletter that you get in the mail once a month. There will probably be some pictures in there just to give folks an idea. And it's a fantastic facility. Dave, you're right. There's a giant screen in the back, which we'll be able to have movies in the park. We'll help with any type of visual display during any of our events. There's a concession stand on the back of it that we'll be able to use for not only all of our sporting events, whether it's the softball tournaments on the north side, the soccer tournaments that we'll house in the center part of the park. Restroom facilities. It's really going to be a top-notch thing. And if for folks who have been listening to the show, we have been teasing it and talking about it for several months now, and I think that's just because we're so excited about it. And admittedly, Dave, after the meeting, you and I had spoke real quick. We had. There's all this lead up, but at the end of the day, unless you get a majority vote, it doesn't go anywhere. Yep. And this was a year plus worth of work between all of the council members, all of the town staff. We had an engineering firm, we had an architecture firm. This was a lot went into this, and when it passed, it was just a big sigh of relief.
I mean, collaboration at its finest to put this together and kind of get it to fruition. I think many of these projects die in small towns because they don't realize that they can actually see this through, and I think this will be a great addition. Many of you know there's some really interesting Kiteman Avenue development soon that'll hopefully be able to be released just as this was, and I think it's gonna complement each other. It's gonna just work itself together. I think we're throwing around, we're dreaming big. And we're that small town that dreams big, I think, is what's huge. And we tease and we laugh, but I really want to get like a Vanilla Ice for that opening night. Everybody laughs at me, but I think we'd be able to fill the park and
I'm not laughing at you. I think Matt, our producer, he has had his head down in there, but I think as soon as you said Vanilla Ice in the park, he kind of perked up a little bit. Yeah. So that, but
I think it's a generational thing, but I think it's one of those things that could fill a park and definitely be a memorable moment for a grand opening.
I've never listened to their music. I'll be totally honest with you. I just looked up because I don't know. I just looked up.
No, you thought we were shifting the show over to an ice discussion, which we are not.
I'll be totally honest with you. No, I don't listen to them.
Okay.
So,
but them, it's one guy. It's one guy.
So Matt, what you're saying is you would come out and experience it for the first time and buy a ticket to come see you at the Dyer. Yes.
Sure, why not?
That's what I'm hearing.
But yes, it's we can dream big, and I think what we're doing is we're dreaming big, but we're doing it right. We took a lot of time. Talked to a lot of experts to bring this in. It is within a budget that we can afford, so much so that we're not. You see other communities when they do things like this, they dream big and then they bond big, yep. and we're not doing that. Yep. We had a budget and we said this is what we had a budget, again, folks, for even listening. This is our second time that we've gone through the bid process, because the first time it came through, there were some changes, and it was everything we wanted. That was our dream big. But as soon as we heard the numbers, we thought we can't do that. We could have gone out for a bond. We could have put it on the taxpayer credit card, but we said we just weren't going to do that. So we were able to right size it. Our assistant town manager, Frank Jackham, loves using the word right size. But it's going to be an amazing facility, and we're paying cash for it, and
also, is the juice worth the squeeze? That's another phrase.
That's
he likes
another
using.
one.
Yeah,
that's another one.
I think for those of us who've been around town a long time, Bob, yourself and myself, a lot of the community has been around for a while, and then you have some new ones here that are trying to see what is Dyer, what is their legacy of Dyer, and we're that small town that's got Route 30 right through the middle, so you kind of chop up that downtown feel, and you kind of got to reinvent yourself, and I think this is a way to maybe reinvent that area as being our place to gather. Back in the day, we were not a destination place. Calumet Avenue stopped at Main Street and diverted you around the town of Dyer. You would literally be the only car at a stoplight in the middle of the night. Well, our predecessors put Calumet Avenue through, and it was an economic boom. But with it, it also made it a destination place. There's a Thursday night that you're waiting at restaurants, and not just one or two restaurants. And that makes yourself a destination place. And this is going to also create that. So we're very excited about that economic driver that's going to be put right in the middle of town.
So folks, as you crest that hill on Calumet Avenue, you do see some work going over there now, but really for the next, certainly the next season, you're going to see that amphitheater go up, and hopefully, I guess we've been teasing some development on Calumet Avenue. We do have a developer that we're working with that has acquired that property. I hope I'm using the terms right, because one thing I've learned with developers is they use different words for different things. It's just a language that I'm still attempting to grasp. But we do have some big things coming to Calumet Avenue should everything work in the right direction. Hopefully in the next few months we'll be able to lay out a plan of what Calumet Avenue is going to look like. And again, it's going to be change, but we're doing it in a way, we're partnering with the developer in a way that it's going to be Dyer. It's not going to be something that Dyer is not. And for a long time I've said, Dyer is a bedroom community, and folks wonder, well, what does that mean? And I say, well, for the most part, again, I grew up where, and Dave, you too, we grew up where Dyer was a bedroom community. You would go around Dyer. There was no, unless you were trekking on 30, there was nothing in Dyer other than that's where people made their home and went to school and played sports, and that was it. But I think that was Dyer of the 90s, where Dyer of the, 2020 is moving on, and we're going to try to keep as much of that hometown feel as possible, knowing that we don't have a downtown. We don't have some of that nostalgic, town square that Crown Point or Griffith may have. But we've got a lot of great things in town, and we're going to continue to develop that. And boy, that sounded like a speech, didn't it?
No, it's exciting. We're trying to reinvent a little bit, and got to mention the attention that we're putting towards Sheffield Corridor. When you threw Calumet Avenue in the middle of town, you kind of took 3/4 of the traffic off Sheffield Avenue and kind of made it like not a destination place. So we're with the train station coming in, with our acquiring that rundown gas station, we're really making Sheffield Corridor sparked again, and I think that's a huge.
And that's another segment where we're working with. I don't know if they're planning firms, architecture firms, design firms to do some visual changes to Sheffield Avenue, but we already have we have a new restaurant on the restaurant side of Sheffield's is a new Chinese restaurant. We have Burcott's. For those of you who haven't heard, and I want to make sure I get the dates right, but I could be off a date or two because I don't have it in front of me. The first week of November, Waltz is going to close down for one day, and the next day when you wake up and you travel down Sheffield Avenue, you will see that the signage has been replaced with Burcott's. Not too long ago, the grocery store chain Burcott's bought all of the Waltz facilities, and so they're going to be moving in. So we are starting to see some redevelopment along Sheffield Avenue, and I think we're just going to see more, especially as the train and traffic increases. We've got some great businesses on there already. Ace Hardware, John's Pizza, the Subway, and the ice cream shop next to it is, that ice cream shop, there's always a line out there in the summer. So hopefully with Sheffield Avenue, we can bring a little bit of life back to that too.
No, that's huge, and I think the businesses are the backbone of the community. I think they keep it going, they keep people coming here, and they keep our residents happy as well. So we want to make sure that we cater to all of them. No pun intended on the catering part. But I think the important process is to bring businesses in that want to be part of Dyer. And I know we sometimes get criticized for why did you put this there. And we talked about in a previous episode that businesses chose to come here. Town of Dyer doesn't develop the businesses. We establish the zoning map, and if you fall in that zoning map, you're welcome here. And these businesses, it's 2025. These businesses are investing $2, $3, $10 million to be part of the town of Dyer. It helps our assessed value. It helps everything. So we welcome any business that wants to be part of the community.
We had just the other night at the Plan Commission. For those folks who don't know, the reason why we do this, we put in the newsletter, social media, but still it's hard to get some information out. We do have Panda Express coming into town. They are going to, Matt, our producer, seemed to be excited over Panda Express. He doesn't know Vanilla Ice, but he knows Panda Express. That is going to go right next to Taco Bell, between Taco Bell and Speedway, and that empty lot right there. And it looks like there will be some access off of Great Lakes Drive. We're very excited about that. And again, just so folks know, Route 30 there was also some questions as to we have a new Shell station coming into town on the far east side of Route 30 on the north side, across the street from Patty's Gymnastics over there by Schmidt's Funeral Home. When certain things are zoned away, as in, you can have a fast food restaurant over there on 30. We've got someone who wants to come in and wants to build. So, folks, we didn't go and say, "Hey, Panda, you have to move here." Hey, coffee shop, you have to move here. Hey, hardware store, you have to move here. We don't say that. Our job is to create a plan where we think businesses will thrive, and when they come knocking on our door, we want to be available to them. And so, the town doesn't necessarily put things places. We kind of open our doors and see who wants to come in.
And I think it's important to mention, at least almost every episode lately, but now knock on wood, Seven Brew has not had a lot of complaints, and I think that was a big one that opened our eyes that the residents just don't know the process, and we helped educate them, is that they selected they picked the map, they planned it, they got approved. It's the same layout as surrounding businesses. Their only downfall was they were very successful, and they were very successful at key times that made traffic an issue. There's no other parking lot you can tell me that can house up to 25 cars in their drive-through, and it's not adequate.
Right.
So we don't want to punish them for being successful. We worked with them. The people there were great to try to manage their traffic. They did pay for off-duty police officers, so it wasn't on the town's dime. And I think they reevaluated and said this is a lot, and they voluntarily stepped off their promotional program. Got some negative complaints about that too, because some people liked the buy one get ones or whatever specials they had going on.
Right, and my understanding is that a lot of the Seven Brews in the area changed their promotion program for that. But again, folks, we encourage you, if you have a question, call us. that's what we're here for. We don't. I've said this a dozen times, either here or at town meetings, that yes, most of us are on Facebook. We will read things, we'll see things, but it's also not an official way to get your concern to us at town hall. Oftentimes, I'll see someone post a picture of a car that seemingly is blowing a stop sign, and they'll say, "Oh, can you believe this? The town's going downhill." And my first thought is, "Well, did you call the police? Did you call 911?" Yeah. Calling 911 now is different than when I grew up, where you only called that in emergencies. Now it accesses dispatch. That's how our officers are dispatched. So even if in your mind you're thinking, 911 is for if I have fallen down or if I've had chest pains. 911 now is for, hey, there's a suspicious car down the street. Can you send a squad down there to look? And our folks, they will go take a look.
Yeah. So talk one about the largest rebranding products in the world. Our age group was told, you better not touch 911 unless someone is dying. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you reprogram them to say, well, you got to call 911 for everything. So,
for everything.
Two ways I wanted to say about communication. You'd mentioned one already is about the newsletter. The other one is this handy-dandy text program that we have here. If you want to be part of it, text the words Dyer, D-Y-E-R, to 219-215-4304. And we shoot out updates for traffic, fests, boil advisories, anything that the town feels that on a town-wide issue should be notified. And then this newsletter that comes to every resident and business in town.
I'm getting the signal to wrap up here. I just want to go through.
I think he was saying he's in for
five tickets for Vanilla Ice. Gotcha, Matt. Don't worry about it. Anyways, this is the Town of Dyer show, recorded live on Wednesday, October 22nd. A quick run-through of the calendars. Because of weather, we had to adjust some of our Halloween activities on Thursday night. Tomorrow night is the Dyer FOP Trunk or Treat at Pheasant Hills from 5 to 7:30. We've got, on October 26th, we've got the Halloween Parade. That's on a Sunday at Pheasant Hills. Get there by 1:30. It starts at 2. October 29th, we have Mini Lights, the Plum Creek Center from 5:30 to 6:15. That's from ages 2 to 5. Halloween is from 4 until 8. Trick-or-treating hours are from 4 until 8. And I do want to just run into this a minute. I'm sorry, Matt, but we had over the last few years, we've been starting it at 4. This year we decided to go till 8 because it's on a Friday. Let kids have that extra hour. And folks, we get calls every single year about, why are you starting it at 4? That's too early. But then if, we started at 4 because we were getting calls saying, hey, when you guys started at 5 or 6, my kid just got home off the bus. They're 5 and 6 years old. They just got off the bus. They're in their costumes. They're running crazy.
They've been eating sugar all day.
And we want to get out there. And so this is our way of casting a very wide net. We have 17,000 people in town. We know going into this, not every person is going to be happy with every single decision. So this is our way of casting a very large net. We started at 4 o'clock for some of those younger kids and younger families to get out there and do trick-or-treating in the daylight. And then, we've got until, 7, 8 o'clock now, 8 o'clock, where, some of those bigger kids who like to go out there and, trick-or-treat when it's dark out and it's fun, we do that too. So we're excited for that. November 11th, Veterans Day, 1 o'clock, Central Park at the Gold Star Memorial. We have a Veterans Day activity. And November 22nd from 10 to 3 is our holiday shopping spree at Kaler Middle School. Contact Dyer Parks Department. They're accepting vendor applications, and it's 9:02. And I apologize, Matt. I will give you 2 minutes next time. This has been the Town of Dyer show. My name is Bob Starkey. This is Dave Hein sitting next to me, and you all have a wonderful day.